I think he looks like the child catcher, but
you think
several
every
evil guy looks like the
child catcher isn't so unique looking in your world because everywhere.
He's out there a lot. He moves around.
That's what they did. That's the interview process.
Or maybe they got shapeshifters, and they always form the shape of that guy because he is
you
literally
a lollipop,
literally the most evil person that you will ever see ever.
Welcome back to the Jack of the Shadows podcast, episode 38. I'm your host, Eric VC, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite bait and tackle, the VC boys. Say hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave. I'm going with bait. I'll be the saucy bait.
Ooh, Dave is just sashaying around.
Hello, sailor.
That's it. Yeah, I guess that does
or
fit with the maritime theme.
Yes. Hey, speaking of welcome back, I was a little disappointed in your welcome back last week, Eric. You did not welcome back to the Jack of the Shadows the way you normally do. So I'm glad that it has returned.
It has returned.
Yes.
No, it is nice to have them welcome back.
Say hello, Adam.
Hello. Hello, all.
This week we'll be covering chapters 7 through 12 of the Fires of Heaven.
Yeah.
So we'll start out with our view from Dragonmount, and then we'll do What Shook Your Willow. We'll then move from there into a little Spies Wide Shut, where we talk about the eyes and ears that we run into in this book.
Possibly my favorite What's-His-Face movie.
Kubrick. Good
Thank
old
you.
Stanley.
Yeah.
Then we'll do some Pray That There's Moiraine, Siuance Upon a Time. We'll learn a little bit about... You always sing the wrong song on that, but it does
matter.
Sort of fit
it's
with
what pops in my head. That's what matters.
It does fit with the syllable pattern. Yeah. And then Slow Bryne. We'll dig into what's going on with Mr. Garth before we wrap up with our Coplin of the week and who leveled up. Let's do a little view from Dragonmount here and talk about the plot points as they laid out here. So, chapter 7, Departure. We're in Rydien, and we revisit, or Rydien.
We're in a place that starts with an R and ends with N.
Right.
A place that used to be foggy.
And in between is Chicago.
Right.
So
brats.
So the Aiel are preparing there in Rydien to head over the Dragon Wall in chase of the Shaido, and also in order to conquer the entirety of Westland and put it under Rand's control.
Seems like a good plan. Nothing could go wrong with that.
No. Egwene recalls her success of peering into Amisa's dreams and then going on to look into other people's dreams.
How do they not notice this?
How is this considered ethical by anyone involved?
And well, there's two facets to that. It isn't. And secondly, once again, Egwene's just off doing what Egwene does, which is not what she's supposed to do.
And she's really proud of herself.
She is, yeah.
And it sure seems like she's not only peering into people's dreams there in Rydien, but also other places as well that might be going on. Because there are some other people that are like, I feel like I'm being watched in my dreams.
Oh, you thought that's what that was?
I don't know for sure, but
I thought it was Moghedian.
It could, well, or Lanfear. It could be.
Or her.
It could be either of those individuals. What is she thinking? Like, how is this possibly cool in any way, shape, or form?
It's a mad flexing of her skills that I think it's cool that she's able to do that.
It's one thing to go into somebody's dream that you're supposed to go into for a test. Well, it's another thing to just peer at, like she was like...
Is she doing anything wrong with this information, though?
So that's why it would be wrong, is what you do with it?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the ethical dilemma here is. Would these people care? I think all day long she can peer into the two creepy guys' dreams, and I'm gonna have no qualms with that.
And who are Kadir
and Natail
and Natail?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
have at it. I mean, because there's things there you need to know.
So
she doesn't want to be there though, because Kadir's were too unpleasant.
Right. Yeah, for good reason.
Yeah.
Because he's a murdering dark friend.
So how much of a leash has she been given to be able to do this? Do you
think
that
I don't think the leash is she's not even supposed to be doing it.
But they seem to be encouraging. They seem to have been encouraging her a little more to be taking a little more freedom with it.
She's not supposed to be like after she's done with the test, where I think
she's supposed to go back.
She go into Gull's dream,
land,
right? Yeah. She's supposed to return and sleep. She knows that she's sort of wandering off, but she was so enthused, so it's okay, because she was just so excited that she had gained this new skill that she justified it to herself. That was all right. That she goes peering into other people's thoughts.
She's doing exactly what they told her not to then.
Yes,
and the fact that this is really dangerous. If someone noticed, then she could die.
Congratulations, you've identified Egwene.
Yeah.
She just keeps doing it over and over. That's what she is.
Right.
But she's building that toolbox.
It's okay because she's
throwing
enthusiastic.
tools into that toolbox.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this is going to come in handy later.
This is a toolish move, and is what I'm thinking. We learn where Aviendha got that necklace that Rand was so curious about.
Yes.
So it did not come
Mystery
from another
is solved.
admirer, or at least it did come from an admirer, but one in friendship.
Right.
It came from a friend.
It did. It came from Egwene.
I don't know what that little weird voice was, but I kind of liked it.
A pattern of snowflakes.
Yeah, she bought it from Kadir.
Now,
Kendori.
So she said, like, does the Two Rivers not get snow?
The Two Rivers get snow.
So how did she not know?
Well, first of all, remember, these are people who don't have magnifying glasses, so they don't.
Yeah.
They know snow, but they don't necessarily know what it looks like. Right, magnified.
Well, we don't think.
Yeah, they have to get really lucky.
I don't know. I would be surprised if the Browns didn't have some sort of magnifying device.
Unless we know that the sea folk make amazing glasses. Unless they have like giant snowflakes there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Rivers.
That's a good point.
Well, sure, somebody.
But then how would they know? Like. How would Kadir know? Someone has to know.
Somebody does, yeah. Just not the Two Rivers people.
Right.
They're not scholars there. They're growers of tobacco and shearers of wool.
Yeah, and apparently of all sorts of different ethnic backgrounds.
Rand is asked if he means to return to the Threefold Land, and he says, I'll try.
Well, you know.
If I can pencil you in, I will.
Right. Yeah. I am putting it in pencil.
He's like, let's play that by ear.
Right.
Which always means no.
Right. Which clearly means probably not. But to Rand's defense, he could also be dead tomorrow.
Yeah, and he's got a few other things going on.
Yeah, right. One of which is
I've got
preparing for
I've got
Armageddon.
Gilder to frame, my wife's murder to plan. Frankly, I'm swamped.
Adam?
There you go.
This 7 is when minutes. You say?
7 minutes.
It had to be more than 7.
So that is concerning. The Aiel are a little bit like, oh, yeah, great. And you still have no ties to us whatsoever.
Oh, they're working on that.
Egwene has recognized that Aviendha is frustrated.
They're throwing the beautiful woman at him.
We've recognized that Aviendha is frustrated. Now Egwene is catching on.
Yeah.
Adam, have you been talking to Egwene?
No, I haven't been. I wouldn't like it.
I'd rather talk to Aviendha.
I think Egwene would be a good conversation.
What are you going to talk about?
She's really curious. She'd be interested in all sorts of stuff, and she knows stuff.
Yeah.
But she's doing things that are illegal, and she shouldn't be, so she's not going to talk about it.
I think Egwene's got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about.
Just pour on the charm.
It's too bad. I think
she seems to like charming men. I think you'd
be missing out on a good conversation.
I'd talk her up.
You can't make me talk to her. I'm not going up and talking to that woman. I don't like her. So Rand gives the orders, and everyone rounds up.
And away we go.
He gives a little rawhide.
Yeah, get him up. Move him out. Get him up. Move him out.
And they're on their way on to chapter 8, over the border. So we're 5 miles east of Amadicia here, and Nynaeve and Elaine, C-3PO and R2-D2 are wandering down the streets and
comb the desert.
Have decided that the most secret way to leave Tanchico is by wagon. So there they are on their wagons east,
wagons
and they've decided to return to Tarvalon. Nynaeve thinks that Elaine has lost some composure for some reason, and it seems to have something to do with Tom. And then a company of Children of the Light appear.
Well, Nynaeve and Elaine are just at each other. They're just like, they've been around each other so long that they're just cranky pants with each other.
But it seems like that
familiarity
is reducing.
Breeds contempt.
That is reducing a little bit. It doesn't seem like they're as bad as they were when they were in Falma.
It's so bad that Tom has to tell them to stop.
At a certain point, yeah, it does. Yeah,
but Tom is part of the problem.
Yeah,
not by his own choice, but yes, by his own choice. But yes, he's become.
He's become the problem by proxy, and it's not his fault that Elaine's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And the fact also is that now that he knows who she is, that complicates the matter too.
Well, maybe he should stop taking those reins so well with the horses and make her so weak.
Maybe he should stop being so manly.
Oh.
Was anyone else creeped out by that whole thing too?
Oh yeah, no, it's totally creepy.
It's pretty creepy.
It's completely creepy. But remember,
I didn't even think that's what actually was going on.
Was it Tom and Dina? Dina was really young also.
I don't think as young as Elaine.
Dina was pretty young. We don't.
I think it was
did.
probably around the same age.
Elaine is 20. I didn't think Dina was that young, but I thought Dina was in her 20s.
Yeah, I would have guessed.
It's not the age gap that's the creepy thing to me.
No,
it's the fact that she's the daughter.
Right. Yes.
Right.
There's
that, and just also just the way she's acting about it. She's acting like a child.
So
yeah, and then her explanation of why she's doing it is.
Yeah, I'm still kind of curious about that. Like
it's weak.
It is weak, and I almost don't believe it.
She's like Anna or whatever her name is. It's like looking for attention.
So we learn a little bit more of this in chapter 9, but we might as well just go ahead and wrap this up here. Yeah, she says that Rand is all the way over there. Yeah, and I'm here.
Which Tom was a great man. It could have been better if not for love.
He's interesting and sophisticated.
Right, yeah. Rather than
all of those things are true.
Picking some handsome, well, let's just pick, a tinker named Aram. She picks Tom Maryland, who is, he's got
in her defense,
bit of panache about him.
It's not like she can just pick up some guy and have him travel with them. Nobody else is breaching this circle of confidants. I mean nobody else can know.
Julian.
She could have. Julian is apparently kind of creepy.
Well, Julian's a bit handsy.
We know that as well. That could be part of the creepiness. See, she doesn't have a lot of choices.
I also think Tom is one of the more unique people in this world, clearly, because of the position that he raised himself to. So it's understandable why. It's understandable why she would be attracted to the man.
Yes, right.
Except for the fact that she knows that her mom shacked up with him.
But the funny,
that
is a major right.
But
it's like the scene from Step Brothers where he's like, "I've had the young bull, or I've had the old bull, and now I want the young calf."
So gross. And no, she doesn't say that. He does.
Right.
He says it. He says, well, you've had the old calf. Now you want the young bull. It's just, it's gross. This whole situation is sort of gross.
Yeah.
And of the two situations, Elaine's or Rand's, which one do you think would have ended up being more complicated in this way?
I hope for the story's sake that it keeps going on, for the record.
Right. The White Cloaks come, everybody gets a little bit nervous, and Nynaeve starts to wish that they were, and Nynaeve starts to wish that they were sort of safely tucked away in Tar Valon again. Nynaeve is starting to want to be back in the tower.
Yeah.
What?
She also, this is the next chapter, she's also sympathizing with Moiraine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
which is it is a big difference that something's going on with her.
Yeah. They head toward Martison for the night. They don't actually stay in Martison. They once again, Nynaeve makes them camp outside the town.
You talk about her sympathizing with Tom. She's also sympathizing with Moiraine. She apologizes to Tom.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've seen this. We're starting to see this pop up more and more
often
with her. Right,
she's maturing.
She's
at the age of 26 or whatever she is.
She's well, you see what the problem is. You got to get these people out of the Two Rivers.
Right. That's the problem. It's the nice little
Two
Rivers
breeds like weirdness.
Well, it's closed. It's closed off.
They don't know what snowflakes are.
Right. It's a homogenous little community. It's really easy to, for bigotry to develop there. And they don't like Aes Sedai, as not a lot of people do. Chapter 9, a signal. A signal indeed. They flip a coin to see who wins the opportunity to go into town to buy supplies.
So is this on chapter 9? Is that image? Are we thinking that's a forkroot leaf?
I've been wondering what that symbol is because we've seen it a number of times before. So it might just be an herb. It's not forkroot.
So maybe that's indicating Nynaeve because Nynaeve being healing.
It might be Nynaeve's symbol. So Tom's been winning these coin flips and he wins another one.
Yeah, Tom's been winning them because he's apparently been cheating. So Julian makes him do it.
Right. Well, no, he's been winning. I think getting to go into town is a victory. It's the one you get to.
He wants to do it.
Right.
But he keeps winning. So Julian's like, no, let me do that.
Right.
Now.
And it doesn't matter.
Still doesn't matter. Maybe Tom's Taviran.
the other thing that we start noticing with Nynaeve is we get a little bit of a soliloquy here on her desire to heal. Like she watches Tom limp away, and that's one of the things she wants to fix.
Yeah. Like
Rand and Tom.
She's hell-bent on doing it no matter what the cost. She's going to make it happen.
She's starting to
pretty cool.
It's an admirable pursuit.
I bet you
she wants to work for the Red Cross.
Brings someone back from the dead.
I was about to say the last time we saw someone with that motivation, he used all the power in the world to try to bring someone back from the dead, and it went horribly. And Nynaeve is no Rand with one of the strongest sangreal in his hands.
Right. She doesn't have.
So if he can't do it, I'm gonna debunk your prediction there, Adam. I don't think that's gonna work out well if she tries.
I do feel like this is going to be a problem.
She's a female, first of all. She's a healer, and she's supposed to be one of the most powerful Aes Sedai ever be. So I'm saying it's still a possibility.
Still no Rand.
Yeah, I agree. Something, even if it's not raising somebody from the dead, there's going to be some horrible problem here. I think.
I think she's going to do something fantastic with the healing, but I really hope she doesn't try to heal a dead person.
So Tom returns with some food and apparently too much meat and
and beans. Those
too
men.
Much tuna.
Always coming back with too much meat and beans.
And
I'm getting like a campfire joke with beans here and people, from Blazing Saddles.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Which apparently they've edited that movie now.
It's definitely a magical fruit moment. And so Nynaeve decides, because she also wants to talk to Elaine clearly, so she decides they're going to go. Even though they flipped a coin to see who could go into town, Nynaeve and Elaine are going to go into town. Before they leave, Tom is talking about what's going on, what some of the rumors that he learned in the town. And apparently Pedron Niall is pulling children from everywhere back into Amador.
Yeah, whatever that's about.
Well, the last time we heard Niall's movements discussed was in the prologue when Daniel mentioned that Niall is conducting secret negotiations to convince Altara and Murundi to cede land to Ilion, or to keep the Council of Nine from invading one or both of Altara or Murundi. So Niall is maneuvering a lot here. And we know that, or at least we suspect that, Ordeath is not behind these things. So all I know is we need to continue to pay attention to what he's doing politically, because there's some, just like in The Great Hunt, I feel like there's some plot afoot.
Didn't Nynaeve ask one of the officers if they had come to move the border?
Elaine asked that.
Oh, it was Elaine.
And Nynaeve was like, "You're not in your mother's throne room anymore."
But do you think that has anything to do with what you're talking about, the White Cloaks and them all being pulled back?
Well, he says the Lord Captain Commander sends food into Terrebonne, otherwise we'd have Terrebonne or Vermin over the border stealing anything they could chew.
Right. He's sending food at the cost. There's a tax going on to everybody that they're complaining about.
There's a pox on the phony King of England.
And they're using this tax to send food over the border so that none of the rebellion that's going on over there comes back. So essentially, they're doing this food mission with the hopes of keep your problems over there. Yeah. We don't want any of your bad people over here.
Go ahead and take those
in our nice, clean little city. So they're traveling on, and Nynaeve looks at the outside of a shop and sees some broomweed.
There's some stuff going on there. Some signals.
And it has a white ribbon and a yellow ribbon tied around it, and she knows that this is a code.
Emergency signal.
It's yellow flowers tied by a white ribbon and a dangling yellow ribbon split into three. And apparently this signal hasn't been used in 300 years.
Yeah, but Nynaeve did a good job talking to the yellow girls when she was back in the tower to discover all this stuff.
Right. They revealed this secret. Well, all she needs to do is use a phrase with healing in it and the color yellow in it, and that is the follow-up to the signal.
My foot hurts. Do you have some lemonade?
Right.
You need to use the word heal.
My
aching foot with some yellow lemonade.
Do you have some yellow?
You would have not been granted admission.
Honey.
No.
You would have. They would have looked at you strangely and said, "No, we can't heal your foot with lemonade.
You need to leave now, courteously."
But I do.
Maybe you're wrong. Maybe there is some lemon healing. Do you have a lemon?
But you had to use the words, not just allude to something that was yellow and healing.
What if you had walked in and said,
I don't heal
yellow.
very fast.
Heal yellow? They would have probably
you just walk in and
thrown
say,
you out.
Heal yellow.
I mean, if that's the case, why don't they just walk in and go, psst.
Right, yeah. I'm a yellow. I saw your signal.
I'm an Aes Sedai. You have a message for me? That's almost what Swan wanted to do later.
So they enter in. It's a seamstress shop, and they meet
Rhonda.
They meet Rhonda and Lucy. Right, Lucy is her apprentice.
Yeah.
So the woman is a little nervous, and they all attribute it to the fact that she's got something incredibly dire to say, and so they give her.
She's got something incredible dire to do. She gives them some tea.
How many times have these girls been poisoned?
Some tea.
How many times what?
How many times have these girls been captured?
We'll get into this. We'll get into this in just a second, because this wraps up and they get drugged here and they fall asleep. And then we move on to chapter 10, Figs and Mice. And we overhear they're waking up and they overhear what is going on in this, and how they got drugged. So they got drugged by Forkroot.
Well, you left out that, there were orders given to bring all of the Aes Sedai back to the tower.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the message.
She does,
yeah,
right. She does actually give her the real message, which is the tower needs to be made whole. Everybody needs to return. Right. And they hear that right before they pass out and, hit their heads on tables and floors. So chapter 10 begins with their limp bodies being dragged.
You know what would help out with their head? Some lemonade.
Yeah.
Well, only if it was yellow lemonade.
Or it had caffeine in it. We can sprinkle a little caffeine in this lemonade. It'll do wonders for your headache.
Yeah.
And it'll reduce the swelling. They're being carried up these stairs. These two women are struggling mightily to get them up.
Elaine's butt's bouncing off the steps.
And Rhonda goes to send pigeons about the girls, and they learn that they've been drugged with Forkroot. And then after 2 hours, Tom appears with Lucy as a prisoner.
Gripping her neck.
Julian appears with Rhonda.
Come here, you scruffy young lady.
The girls learn from Rhonda that Narnowin Barda had issued orders from the Amerlin to report and try to detain Elaine.
Not Nynaeve. Does she feel like she's slightly jilted there? They don't want me.
Right,
they just want Elaine? Come on.
Yeah. Nynaeve probably found some way to feel slighted about that. Nynaeve does,
Maybe
however,
not the new transitory Nynaeve.
Nynaeve does say thank you to Tom and Julian for saving their lives.
Yeah, it's another episode. In 2 chapters, we've got that.
And then she decides that they're going to dye Elaine's hair black with hen pepper and buy Noid Tarvald's coach as a new disguise as they travel through the land as ladies and servants.
Did you just say Noid?
Noid.
Did the Noid make an appearance?
No. Domino's Pizza does not have any place in this story at all.
I do like me some Domino's Pizza.
Unfortunately. So they leave town. Rhonda sends a second pigeon, or she sends the first pigeon off to Tarvalon and then a second pigeon heading west.
Yep.
And then Avi Shendar, the pigeon dude, sends another pigeon off after reading Rhonda's note in an impression on his family's stationery the dining room table.
That's very curious.
Okay. Do you feel like this guy looks like the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2?
Chapter 11, The 9-Horse Hitch. We're in Lugard again.
We're in Lugard.
The group has stopped off at an inn called 9-Horse Hitch. The group, I mean, Swan, Lyanna, Min, Logain.
Logain, yeah.
You mean Darren?
Darren.
Right. Dallin.
Doesn't go so well for Swan in this place.
So Swan instructs Lyanna to flirt with Logain. And she tells Min to hide off somewhere. Well. Yeah, it goes swimmingly. Swan then heads off for another inn with a naked, voluptuous woman riding a horse bareback in a name that Jordan won't give us at the time. Swan gives a password to Mistress Tharna, and Mistress Tharna has Swan audition for the part of a tavern wench.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Show him some leg.
That's right.
Give him some leg.
Leg lamp. So she then takes her into the back room and demands to know what is going on in the tower. And Swan tells her what's happened. At least
she sprinkles her with some information.
Right.
Yeah.
She gives her a smattering.
She gives her a dollop of information.
Tharna gives Swan the name Sally Dara, and
it's the old Sally Dara.
And lets her know
if you dare.
And lets her know that Adelaine Sedai is the head of the Blues Eyes and Ears.
Yeah, it's a tidbit of information given there. Yeah.
Sally Dara is not a woman. It's Saladar, the birthplace of Deanna Araman.
Yeah, Deanna here. It's Deanna.
The Amerlin after Bonwyn had been overthrown, who righted the ship and prevented Arthur Hawkwing from smashing the tower. And with that, Swan returns to the Nine Horse Hitch, where Lyanna is holding court and Min is watching jealously.
So this is supposed to be one of the few places no one would look for an Aes Sedai. I don't understand what that really means.
What, Saladar?
It's because of where it's located. It's located in the country where the White Cloaks are.
Yeah.
There aren't many Aes Sedai there in general.
And then apparently Swan screws up somehow and the White Cloaks are peering after her now.
Right. Swan pulls a Rand and with White Cloaks approaching her does something foolish.
Suspicious.
Right. Suspicious is a better word. Yeah. Yep. And so now she's got two groups of people chasing her.
So they quickly flee the town.
So they hightail it out of there. Yeah. And
with a jealous Min staring at Lyanna going,
right.
I want to learn these skills.
Debating whether or not she wants to learn how to be a flirt. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, she's
Swan
a flirt.
was doing the same thing, and now it's Min who's like, yeah, I could do this with Rand.
She's a flirt.
Chapter 12, Old Pipe. The Old Pips. We're still in Lugard. We have not gone far.
Still in Lugard.
But it's
I just want to keep
a couple of days later, and Brynn is walking the streets looking for news of Swan and her group. Apparently, Lugard is just riddled with profane inn names. Yep. So we had the Nine Horse Hitch. We have the Wagon Seat, which has a very lewd
Can we talk about the
sign.
Nine Horse Hitch for a second?
You can.
I don't know that we should.
I suspect that Jordan is actually engaging in a little bit of what Julian Sendar did with the Rhonda and Lucy.
Oh, why did we not talk about that? I love that moment. You're not the salt.
Right.
What's he going to do with the salt?
I suspect Jordan is engaging in that also here and just suggesting something that he doesn't really have the answer to. We do learn the name of the inn that Swan went to, and it's called the Good Night's Ride. Right. So that is the woman who is riding naked bareback.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Barham tells Brynn that they are a day behind Swan.
Wait, can we talk about one little line here that Brynn is just noticing in his head?
Yeah,
sure.
With his men inside of these areas.
Is this not going to be part of what we cover with Brynn?
That they're drinking? No, it just says that there's one hand for the cup and one hand to fondle the servant girl.
Oh well, we've had reference to that before. I mean, we've had reference to the servant girls are always dodging being pinched.
Yeah,
well, I know that, but I don't think
men back in the day were a bunch of sleazes.
It's back in the day.
Well, this isn't back in the day. This is an imaginary world created by Robert Jordan.
This same.
Who knows? This could actually be this could be post-apocalyptic for all you know, because science was there before.
It's not as socially acceptable now as it appears to have been in Jordan's
I don't know about
time.
you, but I grew up my tavern wenches every chance I get.
Right.
Yeah.
Johnny has learned that the group is headed west.
That's a little more difficult now with social distancing, mind
on
you.
On the Jana Road. And he goes on to say that in Camelin, many of the old guards are being let go and new rowdy guards are being hired in their place.
Yeah.
And that there is even a set of guards called White Lions who report directly to Gabriel. And
AKA.
And that all of these people are now swearing fealty to the crown,
to a Forsaken,
versus the queen, the throne versus the queen.
Yeah.
So he's setting the stage to overthrow our favorite queen at this point.
Yeah. Not good.
Brynn reconvenes with the rest of his squad outside of Lugard, and he tells the men a story about the Amerlin, Elida Morghese, and a Morundian border war dispute.
Sounds like the beginning of a joke.
Right. It very much does. And it is a humorous tale.
Yeah.
And that is where we ended chapter 12
from a Dragonmount.
So, Dave,
you know what though?
But wait, Adam has more.
He'd really like to meet a Damani woman.
Well, who wouldn't? If they're like Leanne, I'd want to.
Yeah, she's willowy and swayy and flirtatious.
The funny thing is, he's like, I'd really like to meet one, but they already did.
All right, Dave, what shook your willow this week?
Forkroot.
Forkroot You, too.
Yeah, well, Forkroot, well, first of all, Nynaeve has never heard of it, and she seems pretty knowledgeable about this stuff. And the effects of what this can do to women that can channel, like, this is huge. The Aes Sedai should know about this, because I don't know that I trust this Rhonda McCurran woman, for starters, because not just because of her sending out dual things, she should have shared this knowledge with the Aes Sedai. By the way, there's this drug out there that could render you incapable of doing anything, but it's her own little secret.
Especially if she's working for the Yellows.
Right.
Who trade specifically in this.
She's convinced it's her own little secret thing that only she knows about. And this is massively powerful stuff. She's like the Transformers. There's more than meets the eye here, and I don't think it's good. And I think this is a huge potential weapon.
She's suspicious for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. So that was my Willow.
Adam, what was yours?
I was holding out hopes that maybe Moiraine and Rand would end up together eventually. And
oh, interesting. Okay.
And it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
No.
Because
really
Moiraine says that sharing a bed with Rand would be a disaster. Now, maybe they can get married, but not share a bed. And everything will be fine.
Maybe that happens.
That doesn't seem to be Rand's thing right now.
Yeah, no. So
he's stealing
Rand's
smooches.
Thing seems to be avoiding women at all costs right now.
So they're not that was my will of the week.
Your hopes are dashed.
But she saw it in the rings.
Remember, she also said before, I imagine I can picture the face of the man I'm going to marry more than you. Mm-hmm. Whatever that means.
Oh, I know. That's what I brought that up. That's when I brought this up originally. I was hoping that it would be him.
Yeah.
But
she doesn't seem to be one of the three women, though.
Yeah, I know. But she did look out and be like, in the ring, she did think, meh.
Well, she was looking at any possibility to save the world.
Should we do this? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe not. And then the answer was no.
The answer is no, and it makes me sad.
It does. I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah, I can see it in your eyes.
Do you need a Kleenex, Adam?
I can see it in your smile.
All right. So what shook my willow this week was at the very end of chapter 11. Don't forget that there was somebody who was supposed to drag Nynaeve and Elaine back to Tar Valon. Theron Lugay. Now, Theron shows up at the house.
Right.
And no one's there.
This is great.
And
he's had enough.
He goes in and looks for the women, and he finds them. He finds them upstairs, gagged and tied to each other and passed out.
They've been fork-rooted.
And rather than thinking that there's some weird sex trafficking going on in this town, he just decides, I have their money. I hate my wife and my mother-in-law.
Screw it, I'm out.
I'm off to Altar and Murundi.
Yeah.
Here I go. And there goes Theron Lugay. So he goes, he's supposed to, he's told his wife he's going to be gone, and he is going to be gone.
He drops the mic and then kicks it into next year.
The way this goes, we're going to see him again.
Right.
It's quite possible. And he's going to be like chained up and being beaten by somebody.
No, he's going to be the happiest man alive. He's going to be thrilled.
Like, what's his face, who swam off of the boat, and then he's trying to abduct Nynaeve and Elaine.
Fluter
Gelb?
Gelb. Yes. Yeah, Gelb. Okay. So let's do a little Spies Wide Shut here. Speaking of Mr. Lugay. So that end scene there, we get it's a little French farce of doors there, where like one person comes in and does one thing and then leaves, and then somebody else comes in and does something else and leaves.
It's the beginning of Shot in the Dark,
right? And somebody else comes in and does something else. They're all sending out pigeons all over the place. They're just pigeons flying everywhere over Lugard. So we get a couple of different instances of spies. We learn a little bit about how the Yellows use their spies. We see some of these eyes and ears in action. So let's let's talk a little bit about like some of the things that we learned about Spies.
And we know that the Aiel do not like it. 1 iota.
Right. That's another thing. Right. We learn about how the Aiel feel about spying. Not so much about spying in people's dreams, which apparently the wise ones don't have a trouble doing.
Do we know that the wise ones themselves do that to other people? They consider that evil.
Yes.
Why would you be training somebody and helping them develop this skill if not
because you're training them to get into someone and they know that you're going to enter their dream. They've said specifically before when she asked about like she or Nynaeve wanted to do that, and they're like, that thing is evil.
Either way, Egwene
I have nothing to add to it. I
stealing this intellectual property and misusing it then.
Well, does that surprise you?
No.
Absolutely not.
So let's start with what we get at the end of chapter 11, which is Rhonda goes off and sends 2 pigeons. So,
oh, help me, Rhonda.
Who else? Yeah. Who else would she?
The Black.
I mean, is right. Who else? Or a Forsaken?
Right. Well, I'm gonna lump them all in.
Right.
Someone not good.
That sure makes her seem like a dark friend.
Right.
Which then would be one reason why she's not telling people about Forkroot.
Yep.
But she does say that she's been
It's a good forking reason, though.
She does say that she's been very loyal for a very long time.
Is she going to say to them, "I've been really evil for a really long time"?
Right. We can only take
pretty good acting job on her part, though, if she is one.
Except for being really, really nervous with the old tea kettle there for a while, she almost gave herself away.
Yeah, please drink your tea first, then we'll talk.
Understand that
tea first, talk later.
But if you're a spy, being cool under pressure is part of it. Like you have to be able to deceive
She's
people
a reluctant spy.
Pretty casually.
Hey, maybe they're threatening to kill her family like they're doing to
Carradine?
Yeah, Joachim Carradine.
Joaquin?
Yeah.
Joaquin?
Jacques.
After her, then we get the old pigeon dude.
He could literally be sending that note to anybody.
Avi. Yeah.
Who is the... Yeah, I thought...
This is at the end of... I said the end of chapter 11. This is at the end of chapter 10. Yeah, Avi Sendar then that sends off another pigeon.
So, I mean, like he could literally be sending it to someone good. He could be sending it to someone bad. We have no idea. Just like which one of these ones is the one sending the note out to the person that's bad.
And here's the other thing: is he seems to be copying down the note, so he's just delivering the information. If he were sending it to one of the Aes Sedai, he should also be telling them, by the way, she's a double agent, but he doesn't. That doesn't seem to be what his note contains. So I doubt he's sending it to Aes Sedai.
I bet it's
going
to
we now have two factions of Aes Sedai.
Either way, though, I would think that Elida would want to know that there was a double agent out there. This seems more likely that he's sending it off to. He's probably sending it off to a Forsaken.
Why would he be sending it to a Forsaken if she's sending one to Dark Friends also?
Well, we know that
we don't know.
They don't share the same. There's no alliances between Forsaken.
Well, we've seen there are between 4 of them now.
We've seen that there's an attempt. Right. Yeah. There's an attempt. But we also know that up to this point, they've been sort of operating their own schemes. Yeah.
It's a little convoluted because there's a lot of possibilities of what could be happening here, or at least 2 or 3.
Yeah. I
think it's great. There are
intrigue
a lot of flying
on the high seas.
So these are the dangers of using these people is you can't really keep tabs on them. They're all the way out in the middle of nowhere. So it's really hard for, the tower to.
Don't they have traveling? The Dark Friend, the Forsaken.
They do. They do. Yeah. But you don't want to be checking in on these people anyway. You don't care that much about them.
You sure should care
you
about
just
their information.
Want their info.
Forkroot. Forkroot could probably affect the Forsaken too.
Sure, it could. This Forkroot is a big deal.
Then I wonder, maybe that's why she doesn't report it to the Forsaken or whomever, because maybe she might need to use it herself for protection one day. Here, before we talk, drink this tea.
I think the Forkroot, I think the Forsaken might be a little more circumspect than Elaine.
I'd hope so, but those two were on the lam, and they weren't very paranoid enough.
Well, they were excited to find out what was going on.
Yeah.
Well, let's pray that there's Moiraine. Rand has told Moiraine to be quiet and stand over there.
Yeah, man, he's being a little.
That's rude.
Yeah,
that's just rude.
He's flexing his power a little too much.
And Egwene was having none of it.
No, I'm waiting for Lan to like slap him.
He's so wrapped up in what needs to be done. He's not paying attention to some of the niceties with which stuff gets done.
I'm thinking he was probably raised a lot differently than this. I think this is once again going to this evolution of Rand that we're seeing. It's keeps happening, and it keeps happening.
It could be, or it could be that he wasn't raised or prepared for any of this, so he doesn't know. He's not used to having to try to get stuff done and how to handle things properly.
Well, Egwene certainly has an opinion of it.
Well, she has less on her plate than Rand does too, and she also has.
So does everybody,
right? And she also has these people who also have to constantly remind her of minding her P's and Q's as well.
Yeah. Well, Rand has people doing that. He just doesn't listen to them.
It's not the same thing. Egwene has mindfully set an authority above her because of her aspirations. Rand has had that
she doesn't listen to.
Right, exactly. So
she's doing the same thing.
She is sort of doing the same thing. But not out loud. Right, yeah, just not right, exactly.
She's not being rude about it. She's just being secretive about it.
Right.
Yeah, so which one's better?
Right, neither is the answer.
Right. Rand, on the other hand, has had people trying to guide him. And
who would you rather tick off more, the wise ones or Lan?
That's a toughie.
Well, Rand is now a sword master, so,
right, so maybe
I
probably
don't
has a
think
better
he's
chance.
Lan.
Maybe he can beat Lan.
I'm going no.
I
think he'd beat Lan if he went on a fight against him. Just from
he
Rand's experience, how many times have we seen Lan fighting compared to Rand?
Right, so that's it. Because we haven't seen Lan fight all that much, he's probably not that good. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I didn't say he's not that good. This is up against one of the greatest warriors of all time.
Oh, okay. I don't think he's there yet. I don't think Rand is. Well, I mean,
he's getting there. Good grief!
Yeah, in a very short period of time.
Very fast.
Yes, he is getting there very, very quickly.
Yes. So is Aram, apparently.
As Moiraine is staring at the Angreal that are getting loaded onto or taken away to the tower, she ruminates a little bit on the three metal rings there, standing on the edge and joined at the middle.
I'm getting really, really, really concerned about Moiraine.
Yeah. This is what I want to talk about. Everybody else feels like Moiraine is going to die sometime soon.
Yeah, like
Yep.
I'm not happy with this at all.
She's arranged this crazy pact with Rand, which, she said she's done because she tells Lan she's done because she really doesn't have any other choice, and she saw in the rings that if she leaves Rand, something disastrous will occur, so she's got to find some way to negotiate.
Even Lan's like, what's with you, woman?
Right. Lan, right. And we've been noting this. We've been noting that she has been really, really dour for like a half a book.
It reminds me, This reminds me of C.S. Lewis in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where Aslan's walking up to the stone table.
Yeah.
And the two girls are like...
Before that, when he's with them, before he even goes on the walk, it's the reason why they wake up in the middle of the night and follow him is he's acting weird.
Yeah, this is like, what's going on? They're all like, what's wrong with you?
Everybody except Rand. Rand is like, I finally, you know now to shut up and stand over there when I tell you to. It's really concerning.
I'm very worried about it. I have been worried about it for a bit, and I honestly miss Moiraine just kicking butt.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that either. Yeah,
because ever since she left Radiant, she's been on the defensive.
Yep. Now I do like the fact that she's sort of taken a page out of the book of the Women of the Two Rivers, which is you don't come right out and tell a man what to do. You manipulate him through making him think that your ideas are his ideas. And so
kind of, but she's been pretty, it seems pretty desperate with Rand in the past two chapters.
Yes, she's definitely desperate. She's acting completely out of character.
Yeah.
Totally out of character. I feel like we need to enjoy every chapter that we have with Moiraine, but we're not getting good Moiraine in these chapters either.
I
I miss books 1 through 3.
I don't even know that I mind that so much. It's just where I feel like impending doom's coming. We're just not getting enough of her in general.
This is a huge turning point for Eric.
Right.
You didn't appreciate what you had when you had it.
Right. Yeah.
Don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed Moiraine. I just felt like I needed to temper some of your enthusiasm for her. I felt like she was a possible dangerous element early on.
It's too late. You're not welcome in this club.
This party is not accepting
I'm not
applications.
welcome in the trust tree. Is that what you're saying?
The circle of trust is closed.
All right. Well, yeah, let's all agree to enjoy as much of Moiraine as we can while we can, because it sure seems like bad things are afoot.
Whatever aspect of her we can, yes.
All right. Once upon a time. Let's do a little Swan Sanche.
Swan moment in time.
Right. When I was reaching for destiny. Is that how it goes?
I don't know what that is.
But you like it.
I'm on the fence. I appreciate the effort.
What? So this thing that happened to Swan is supposed to be the absolute worst thing. 99.9% of germs given this Lysol of being still die. And yet Swan seems to have survived it pretty well.
Not only Swan.
And Lyanna too, but that woman has a strength of will. She's still focused on her mission.
Yeah.
And she needs it. She also seems like a woman that has to have something to do. She's a little power hungry too, I think. You know, she wants to be seen. She wants to be appreciated.
She's all right letting Dallin think that he's the leader of the pack.
Yeah, so long as it's going to get her where she needs to go, sure.
Well, so long as she actually feels like she's really the leader of the pack.
Oh, I think she is. There's no question.
Well, they're right.
She's the glue that's holding it all together.
Right. Thank you, Adam.
Johnny, look out, look out, look out.
Yeah,
look out.
I think she's gotten over something devastating pretty easily, or is this compartmentalization?
So you think that there might be some moment later on when we have a backlash?
Yeah, she doesn't have time to deal with the pain right now.
I mean, this is terrible to say, but I certainly hope so, because we've been hearing about how awful this thing is, and we haven't really witnessed it whatsoever other than one chapter of them having a hard time getting out of a terrible situation in a dungeon cell. What we do know is that that being without the power is a psychologically crippling event. I mean, we even get that even when early on, when our accepted were learning how to use the power, they would talk about the moment when they stopped using it. You know, when they had to stop using it, it was like giving up a drug, so to speak. And there definitely is a drug element to this. And now she has gone cold turkey. And this is something that almost every single Aes Sedai that's ever gone through it has died over. And I'd just like to see a little bit more of a struggle. Just like the Trolloc War that ended in 45 minutes. I feel like this is wrapped up a little quickly.
My point to that is we're not dealing with an ordinary human.
No, we're not. But I mean, Aes Sedai aren't ordinary humans. We're not
but we're dealing with also the Mecca of the Mecca.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But if you're going to tell me that something is really, really difficult to do, and that I would like to be able to actually see that lived out, and we're not seeing that either with Lyanna or Swan.
No, but
both of them seem okay.
That's number one and number two.
To this point.
To this point, right?
Like Dave was saying.
So that's
yeah. But everything you were saying, Eric. Yeah, there's just more information being presented. She's like, oh, I look younger. This is so interesting to me. Men are noticing me like they haven't before. It is a bit strange.
Well, we know this much: people are masters at deceiving themselves.
Well, true.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that, like you said, doesn't mean there won't be ramifications or consequences to that deception.
And we are early on in the process, but I mean, it was surviving the early part that was the biggest challenge for so many people.
Also, like Dave was saying, there has been a lot of distraction, so maybe she's shoving it down.
Yeah,
but to this point, I agree with you.
The will to live is a very strong thing.
It would have been nice to see someone get broken down really hard, and then rise up from
a redemption.
The ashes.
Well, we didn't see them being beaten and tortured in the room after they'd lost their power.
Well, that's physical.
Yeah, I want to see it.
That's physical.
Well, it was also mental too. You're all of a sudden having to surrender everything that you were keeping as a secret and held dear, and you're being forced and beaten and having that stripped out of you. Torture's is not just physical.
Well, they're right.
It doesn't work.
Anybody else want to say anything else about Swan before we move on to Gareth?
I think it's. Oh, go ahead, Adam.
No, I don't think so.
I think it was interesting how she was humbled in that room with the woman and having to come out and endure that humiliation with the people. But once again, I think Jordan's showing us like her and how Rand kind of progressed. She's thrown into these situations, and like we were just talking about with her losing her, her ability to channel, which is a huge part of who she is. Here, she seems a pretty prude person. I'm gathering from what we've seen about her.
I mean, most of them are.
But, well, with the exception of maybe Lyanna. But we've seen that's not going to stop her.
Well, she's very pragmatic.
She has such a commitment to what she's got to do that I respect that. I respect that she was, that would be embarrassing. That would be, for someone in that situation.
Oh, it's a big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal for her. She moves on really, really quickly. She could have dealt better with Durranda Tharna.
The embarrasser.
Right. She's the one, and she doesn't handle
Hips
her
so round that
Right. Swan doesn't handle her very well. She's too frustrated. She doesn't keep her cool enough to handle her. Right.
When she just keeps talking about what a wretched woman she is.
Right. Yeah. So let's end our character conversations here with Slow Bryne. So here's a guy who was...
This is Avienda in male form.
But also with a lot more discipline.
I just mean that we're seeing this. Why am I doing this? I hate Rand. It's like the same thing, but in different form.
Yeah, but when he captures her, I feel like she's going to get punished even worse when he catches up with her.
I still think that he's got the hots for her, though.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That's why I said it's like Avienda in male form.
He could also be really bored.
He keeps talking about her eyes. He keeps talking about her eyes.
Yeah, well, he's trying to figure out what it is about her eyes.
I think it's the fact that he likes them.
It could be. It could also be that we know through his little story of the sheep and the border war that he has had a run with her before. He's had personal interaction with her, and we know that her face looks different. Eyes usually don't change, though. He could just have some recognition of who she is. And there's something in his subconscious that's triggering him, trying to remind him, and he's not making that connection. And he's a man who needs something to do. That's pretty clear.
He does. Yes, he does. He does seem like a guy who's used to be super important.
Yeah.
And now he's just judging these idiots burning down barns.
And that is clearly not enough for him. He's obviously disappointed with being the lord of a old, forgotten family.
Fiefdom that means nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
His family that's doomed.
So this has given him something to do, but so this guy's been probably single. Apparently there was something going on with him and Morghese at some given point.
Oh.
It doesn't seem that long ago.
We got that from Elaine and Gawain.
But not a relationship, because that would never work. He couldn't be with the queen.
Well, no, because Tom could have been with the queen. It seems
but
like
it didn't work. There's just something with that queen and men.
It says they shared a bed together. I'm confused what you're saying.
What? I think he's saying that he didn't see it ending up in marriage.
Correct.
I think it could have still.
I don't think it could have. I think the queen needs to marry from a position of strength and power, and that's not House Bryne.
Something prevented them from getting married because it did seem like they had been in a relationship for some time enough.
Well, I think he left obviously when Gabriel came in.
Well, right, but we're talking about before that. Don't forget that we got information about her relationship, about Morghese's relationship with Gareth through Elaine and Gawain.
Yeah. And
they were talking about it as if it had been something that they had been aware of since childhood. So it's been going on for a while. So something prevented it from ending up in marriage. Right. But we do know that the queen, we know this because of Elaine's thought of marrying Rand. We know that it is possible for the queen of Andor to marry really whoever she wants.
Well, Rand isn't just anybody.
Well, but before he became who he is now, they talked about him and she talked about him and he was concerned about just being a shepherd. which ultimately is what he was.
We don't know how much she was interested in him at that point to be considering marriage.
She was interested. I mean, that
could be a simple boy-girl infatuation.
It was used as a way to show us that while exceptional, it has still happened where the Queen of Andor, because it is not a kingdom, but a matriarchy. Well, it has no king, so it is a queendom. And that's why I said that. There is no king at the head. It's not a patriarchal court. It's a matriarchal court, that the queen does have a little bit more choice.
But obviously it didn't go anywhere, but I think that there was a possibility that it could have.
Rand's a little more important than any of these people.
I mean, it would have continued going on. The thing that interrupted it was Gabriel, was a Forsaken who is using googly eyes to keep Morghese in line. So it would have continued. So he hasn't been in this situation for very long, and we see his first sort of forays into kind of getting over her by telling this story, interestingly enough.
Yeah, it was a cool little story. I think you're right. I think there's more than just he's attracted to her, but I do feel like that's a large.
He's acting way out of character. Like they should not still be chasing her.
Right. That's why to me this is an Avienda thing.
And the only reason these men are still following him is because the only people that are more bored in the area than he is are these guys who are old legionnaires.
Yeah, the old soldiers.
They need a war.
They do.
They're the captains of the old home guard.
But even if there was a war, they wouldn't be going into it. They're too old.
I think these guys are still game enough to shoot a good bow and arrow.
Well, they
sling a spear.
They would agree with you, but you also sort of get the feeling that they've been cast aside sort of as well. And they have been, because Gabriel is obviously bringing in his own
the White Lions
people for his own reason. So, Adam.
Scary.
Who is your Coplin of the week?
My Coplin of the week?
Coplin of the week, man.
Mine is Elaine.
Was it Gabe Kaplan? It was Elaine?
It's Elaine and her flirting with Tom. It's too much.
You love yourself a good Robert Jordan romance.
Yeah. What are the ends here?
It was a bit thick.
If this were a different series and people were just, hooking up with one another, it would be another thing. But it's just a big distraction. I don't think that it's a good thing for her to be doing.
I think Elaine would agree with you. She's looking for a distraction. I don't know. Mine is, I don't know if you remember this week, but somebody poisoned Elaine, and
that's that other one that Eric was disappointed by Coplin of the week there again.
I like your Coplin of the week. I'm going with Rhonda, the Forkroot Queen.
Oh, help me, Rhonda.
She has a trident that's made out of forkroot, and she holds it as a staff while she sits on her throne of broomweed. Yeah. So, Rhonda, stop trying to poison Aes Sedai. You're my Coplin of the week.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because my Coplin of the week is Lucy.
Lucy?
Her assistant.
Lucy. And Mr. Tumnus?
Really, really annoying.
She is. She's a wuss.
She's whining. She's complaining. She's got one job to do also.
Scared.
Show up on time to dose these girls with Forkroot. She can't even do that right. She's late for that. What else is that girl doing? Rhonda's left the shop. No one's come into the shop apparently in a long time. So what's she downstairs watching Netflix? I mean, what's she doing?
Yeah. I mean, right. She keeps missing the hour.
What is she doing?
She's not watching Netflix because she should know when an hour is done, because the show would be over.
She's off in the field canoodling with somebody.
Right.
I mean, she's
canoodling
annoying.
with Julin.
Yeah, exactly.
She's cajoodling. Yeah. Lucy.
She's my annoyance.
That's hilarious. Yeah, Lucy and Rhonda.
She's my wart. I'm her uncle.
Yeah. So those are our Caplins of the week. Who leveled up for you, Dave?
Julin.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I get to finally talk about this, because
mice
it's
and figs.
His mice and figs and salt and what was it, grease or whatever the product?
No, salt and cooking oil.
Salt and cooking oil.
Yeah.
He terrifies these two women so badly with these made up tortures that they just give up the ghost. I mean, it's fabulous. Even he didn't know what he was saying. I love he's like, I found if you come up with the most ridiculous suggestions, and people just go, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I could use that line again. But it's just a great moment. He saves the day. He saves the moment to get them to spill the beans. It's fantastic. How many more analogies am I going to come up with here?
Well, yeah, these are just expressions.
It's a great moment, and he comes across completely sinister and like he's a master torturer. And the funny thing is, if you know anything about Julian, he's the person that would not do any of this because he abhors all that stuff. So it was a very cool moment. So Julian, you're the man for me this week.
I like the mice and the figs better than the
I don't want to think too long about that.
And well, it's nothing, right? It's a ruse. It's a MacGuffin. Who leveled up for you, Adam?
The pigeons.
Pigeons.
Definitely going to hate you for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These things we know nothing about.
Here, these animals that are just being trained to carry around these letters back and forth. Good for you.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if carrier pigeons leveled up this week. I think that they've always been pretty amazing in this world.
It's a huge way to be able to communicate. How many times have we been?
It is pretty amazing.
Involved with them.
Well, we know that that's how the Aes Sedai communicate with the tower and each other, and that's how long distance communication happens in this world.
I'm going to have to begrudgingly give you this one.
It's incredible.
It is amazing. It's absolutely amazing that you can train something which could fly anywhere.
But they haven't done anything differently this week than they've done every other time.
No, right. That was my point. Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah.
But we're off.
Yeah, well, I had more interesting things to talk about leveling up at those other time periods.
Who leveled up for me was Tom, because Tom is the one with the heroic moment where he bursts through the door and is shadowed by the hallway light.
Julian had been waiting outside, though. Julian was one that
he was outside, yes. But Tom is the one that stops the drowning with the Forkroot by Lucy,
by the scruff of her neck.
Who really doesn't know what she's doing.
No,
and could very easily just kill them.
What.
Right, she's downstairs watching. She's not watching TV because she would know when an hour was up. If she was watching TV,
she's probably stitching something.
That'd actually be about 48 minutes.
Maybe she was taking care of something.
Yeah,
she did not level up for me. Tom did because he stopped her, and I just love the moment. I mean, I think it would look awesome in a graphic novel. Just the door open and there's Tom standing, and it's just his silhouette in the door. Right? Yes, exactly. Right. He's got her by the neck.
By the neck. Yeah, it's awesome. That would be a great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is our podcast for episode 38. Join us for episode 39 when we will cover chapters 13 through 18. So until then, may you rest in the Creator's hand.
Dovian says Hovix again.
May you know good hunting, young bull, and cheese to give you many cubs.
I liked how difficult that was for you to say last week.
It was a challenge.
Very tough.